Since its debut in 2009, Pawn Stars on the History Channel has carved out a unique niche in television, combining humor, historical trivia, shrewd negotiation, and the oddities of American life in a single format. At the center of it all has been Rick Harisson, co-founder of both the show and the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, who poured his life into building the business. Behind his cheerful on-screen persona, Rick has quietly endured profound personal losses and legal battles that the average fan never sees. The latest tragedy has only added another layer to his already heavy burden. Richard Kevin Harisson, known to millions simply as Rick Harisson, was born on March 27, 1965, in Lexington, North Carolina, to Richard Benjamin Harisson and Joan Rue Harisson. His family would grow to include 4 children: Sherry, Joseph, Rick, and Chris, with Rick being the third born. Tragedy first touched his life when his sister, Sherry Joanne Harisson, was born with Down syndrome. She died at the age of 6, an early heartbreak that stayed with Rick throughout his life. Rick's father, a stern but wise U.S. Navy veteran, relocated the family to San Diego, California, in 1967 after being transferred. Around the age of 8, Rick began experiencing epileptic seizures, forcing him to spend a significant amount of time confined to bed. This hardship, though unfortunate, sparked a love of reading that would shape the man he became. He immersed himself in books, particularly John D. Fitzgerald's The Great Brain series, which centered around a clever young boy, a character that resonated deeply with Rick. He also developed an enduring fascination with history and physics, especially stories from the Royal Navy during the late 1700s and early 1800s. Rick attended Taft Middle School in San Diego but dropped out in 10th grade. At that point, he was already displaying an entrepreneurial spirit, selling fake Gucci bags for $20 a week. In April 1981, financial misfortune struck again when his parents' real estate business collapsed, forcing the family to move to Las Vegas, Nevada. At just 17, Rick faced another life-altering challenge. His teenage girlfriend Kim became pregnant. The young couple tragically lost their first child to a miscarriage, but they persevered, eventually marrying in 1982. Their son Corey was born on April 27, 1983, and would later become an integral part of the Harisson family business. 2 years later, they welcomed their second son, Adam. However, the pressures of young parenthood took their toll, and Rick and Kim divorced in 1985. Not long after the divorce, Rick began dating Tracy, and after just 9 months, they married in 1986. Together, they raised Corey and Adam, with Tracy stepping into a maternal role with dedication. Rick's passion for history found a natural home when his father opened a 300-square-foot second-hand coin shop on Las Vegas Boulevard South in 1981. During the day, Rick used his historical knowledge to appraise rare items, while at night, he took on work repossessing cars. The family's hard work paid off, and they eventually relocated to a larger storefront on Fremont Street. But stability remained elusive. They lost their lease just 2 years later, forcing yet another move. For years, Rick and his father dreamed of transforming their store into a pawn shop, but Las Vegas had a 1955 ordinance that capped the number of pawn licenses, tying them to the city's population. They waited patiently for the right opportunity. In 1989, as soon as the population threshold was met, the Harissons applied for a license and overcame numerous legal obstacles to finally open the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop at 713 Las Vegas Boulevard South, just a stone's throw from the Strip. Their inventory initially focused on unique sports memorabilia and historical artifacts, but over time, jewelry emerged as their top-selling category. By 2005, the shop was thriving, lending out millions annually and earning hundreds of thousands in interest alone. They became known for their ability to appraise and purchase rare sports items with compelling backstories, like a 2001 Super Bowl ring owned by NFL player Brock Williams, and for helping down on their luck gamblers pawn belongings just to get gas money for a trip home. Their success caught the attention of Left Field Pictures producers Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines, who visited Las Vegas in 2008 with the idea of making a reality show set in a pawn shop. They believed these establishments, full of quirky characters and even quirkier items, were perfect for television. After scouting various locations, they zeroed in on the gold and silver pawn shop, which had already been featured in a 2001 PBS documentary. Rick, always camera-ready and articulate, had long hoped for a TV show that could showcase the magic of his shop. He'd even appeared in an episode of Insomniac with Dave Attell in 2003. The original pitch, called Pawning History, was rejected by HBO for being too raw, but with adjustments and a new family-friendly name, Pawn Stars, the show found a home on history. Filmed inside the gold and silver pawn shop, the show quickly became a sensation. During filming, the store would close to the public, with only selected customers allowed on set. Viewers were hooked on the combination of Rick's keen eye for authenticity, Corey's sharp business instincts, Chumley's comedic timing, and the old man's crusty wisdom. By January 2011, Pawn Stars was the top-rated show on the History Channel and second only to Jersey Shore among all reality shows. That same year, Rick released his autobiography License to Pawn, Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver, which became a New York Times bestseller. His popularity surged, and he embraced it wholeheartedly. He appeared as himself in an episode of iCarly titled I Lost My Mind in Vegas and played a fictional antique shop owner in the ABC sitcom The Middle. Around this time, he also married his third wife, Deanna Burdett, in Laguna Beach, California. Through this marriage, Rick gained 3 stepdaughters, Serena, Kiona, and Marissa. In 2014, Rick became the spokesperson for MicroTouch One, a men's shaving razor, starring in television commercials. That same year, the History Channel launched United Stuff of America, a show produced by the same team behind Pawn Stars, which spotlighted key artifacts from pivotal moments in history. Later, Pawnography, a game show spin-off featuring Rick, Corey, and Chumley competing against contestants for items from the shop's inventory, premiered to moderate success. But just as Rick's fame reached new heights, tragedy returned to his doorstep. In June 2018, Rick's beloved father, Richard Benjamin the Old Man Harisson, passed away from complications related to Parkinson's disease. Rick broke the news to over 245,000 followers on Instagram, expressing deep sorrow and reverence for the man who had been his mentor, business partner, and moral compass. The History Channel also issued a heartfelt statement mourning the loss of one of its most iconic stars. The death of his father left Rick with full responsibility for the family and the shop, a role he had prepared for but never wanted to take on under such painful circumstances. Barely a year later, the world changed, devastating lives and businesses alike. One might assume pawn shops thrived during the economic downturn, but that wasn't entirely true. Although there was an initial uptick in business from people seeking quick cash, the surge didn't last. The shop struggled with the same supply chain issues and safety concerns that affected countless others. Rick had to adapt quickly, navigating new health regulations while trying to keep his employees safe and his business afloat. It was a dark time for Rick, both personally and professionally, but he pressed on. What makes Rick Harrison's story so compelling isn't just the gold, silver, or screen time, it's the resilience. Time and again, life has handed him heartbreak, hardship, and challenge, and each time he's responded with grit, ingenuity, and unwavering commitment to his family and his craft. The latest tragedy to strike his life has only deepened the emotional connection that fans feel for him. Though the cameras may not capture the full extent of his pain, Rick Harisson remains the backbone of a television legacy and a testament to the enduring power of perseverance in the face of sorrow. Rick Harisson continued to carry the burden of his family's legacy and the pressures of running the shop even as more obstacles emerged. While the gold and silver pawn shop remained a fixture on Las Vegas Boulevard, the reality behind the scenes was far from the bright lights and cheerful banter seen on TV. Rick had to deal with increased financial pressure due to decreased foot traffic during the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, and the overall decline in tourism that hit Las Vegas especially hard. The once busy shop began to see longer stretches of silence between customers. At the same time, Rick was juggling personal responsibilities and trying to keep his employees on payroll, many of whom he considered extended family. Although he did his best to put on a brave face for the cameras and for fans, those close to him knew how deeply the loss of his father and the changing world around him had affected him emotionally. As if that wasn't enough, Rick recently endured perhaps the most heartbreaking event of his life, the death of his youngest son, Adam Harisson. The tragic and sudden loss came as a complete shock. Adam, who had stayed mostly out of the public spotlight and didn't appear on Pawn Stars, reportedly passed away from a suspected drug overdose. Though Rick confirmed the death with a heavy heart, he asked for privacy and time to grieve. Fans around the world sent messages of love and support, but the pain was written across Rick's face in every public appearance afterward. Losing a child is something no parent is ever prepared for, and for Rick, it added a wound so deep that even the comfort of work, friends, or fame could not soothe it. In the wake of this personal tragedy, Rick has taken a step back from the limelight.